And now we're going to look at the centre defensive midfielder position, whether you're playing in a 4-3-3 and you're the single pivot, or a 4-2-3-1 where you're part of a double pivot. The same principles apply. So if you're a number 8 or a number 10, that will be in the next videos. This is purely focused on the centre defensive midfielder. Your positioning is extremely important. I cannot stress that enough. Where you stand, what you do with the ball, dictates how your team play. You are the heartbeat of the team. Just watch this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's you right there. You are in the middle of the defensive phase and the attacking phase. Your responsibility is to help the team progress the play and then stop the play from coming back to your defense, which means you're stopping defensive transitions through your positioning, through your anticipation, and then in possession, you're trying to play forward. You're trying to allow your team to create chances in the final third. And it all starts with your positioning. Let's say the ball is with your left centre back. What do you do here? Do you run to the ball? Do you drop in? Do you move away? What do you do? That is the key question you must ask yourself in every single game. And I strongly recommend that you watch Sergio Busquets. Literally, he was perfect in his positioning. Honestly, every time I watch Busquets play, I cannot see a problem with his positioning. He plays the game up in here, and that's what you need to do as well. So, when your left centre back has the ball, if you watch the centre back video, we said that the centre back usually has this much space to drive and step with the ball. So your aim is not to run to the ball. You do not want to suffocate your centre back's space. Respect your centre back who has the ball and is trying to find options. Respect their space. That means you're just operating in this area right here. Just imagine the striker who's blocking off the switch from centre back to centre back, and imagine the number 10 marking you right here. The moment you move into that space, you're allowing the number 10 to press you and then press the ball. It just gets too cagey, it's too tight. What you want to do is make sure that you stay away, because as your centre back steps with the ball, there's a moment where the 10 will step, you just drop off, you receive the ball, and now you can play. Very, very simple. If this number 10 stays with you and you've moved away, well, guess what? You've allowed your centre back space to drive. Let's say the centre back plays the ball forward, you're the one that can cover in that phase of play, in that moment. So it all starts from you recognising, as much as possible, can you receive the ball behind this line? That's it right there. If you can receive the ball behind this line, you're able to receive the ball and take players out of the game. So then your next pass will allow your team to create a chance, to create an overload somewhere on the pitch, because you've taken 2 players out of the game through your positioning. If, let's say, the ball is with your number 8 and they have a centre midfielder marking the number 8 and their attacking midfielder is marking you here. Now that the ball is ahead of you, if you just stay underneath the ball and you shuffle accordingly, once again, you'd be able to receive the ball and then switch the play. You do not want to be running in line with the ball or ahead of the ball. As a centre defensive midfielder, you're simply that insurance policy to say, you know what, if you can't go forward, use me because I can switch the play. Just imagine this scenario. Your number 8 is driving with the ball, cannot play any forward passes, turns back with pressure. If you run to the ball, once again, you're suffocating the space. All you have to do is just shuffle in and around here, knowing that there's a striker here as well. And once again, there's a moment where this player will look towards the ball. You just shuffle here, receive the ball. Once again, you're behind that line. And now you can play forward. Now you can switch the play. It's that simple. So ideally, you're just operating in this area right here. Centrally, you could say where the D shape starts and where the D shape ends. That central lane right there is yours to dominate. If the ball is with your left back, for example, and your left back drives forward, if there's no options to go forward as they drive, guess what you're doing? You're just supporting in and around here, because once again, if there's a right winger stopping the left back from progressing, if there's a centre midfielder here and the other centre midfielder is marking you, and there's a number 9 here, once again, if you stay away, there's a moment where the left back will turn and try to look for a pass inside. This number 10 might step to the ball. This is the picture. If you can receive the ball behind that line, you can switch the play. every example that you think about, it just requires a couple yards of shuffling and movement to receive the ball behind that line, and now you can play forward. It's as simple as that. So I've just spoken about the importance of positioning. The other aspect is the trigger for a rotation. So that means there'll be moments where your centre back is, let's say, playing the pass to your left back. The left back drives forward, plays you, as we just discussed. As you turn, there's an option, let's say you play your number 8 and then you drop off. Now that you've dropped off, you're in the left back position, you've pushed your left back higher, your winger can play inside, and now you are in a situation where you can dictate play from a deep area. Just watch Toni Kroos. He would always drop into the left back position because from here, with his technical ability, he could play short passes to draw the opposition in and then switch the play. He could also drive with the ball, commit players and then play. So there's a lot of opportunity for you to control and dictate the game if you can drop into the fullback positions in certain moments of the game. Not all the time, not every time. But for example, if your centre back is trying to look for options, as we discussed in the fullback video earlier, we said that the near side fullback should be pushing up to open up space for the centre back. So who's going to fill up this spot? It could be the number 8, no problem, but it could also be you. You just drift across this space, then you can receive the ball. There's a 1, 2, 3, 4. There's an overload here. So can you utilize that overload, draw plays towards you, and then you can look for that switch off play. For example, if the opposition are playing that 4-3-3 system, as your fullback pushes up and takes the winger away, there's this space. If you can drop in, if this number 10 follows, look at this amount of space for your centre back to maybe find your number 9 who can set the number 8 who will support underneath, which we'll go through in the next video. And then your number 8 can play passes in behind with your fullback making a run forward to create these 2v1 situations. Once again, we discussed this in the previous video. So there's a lot of things that can happen. And once again, if you notice, you did not touch the ball, but your movement created that much space because when you dropped off here and the 10 followed, there's that acre of space. Now, what is more likely in a game? Will this number 10 actually follow you, or will they stay and let you receive the ball? Well, guess what? Most often, that's the picture. That's what will happen. So when your fullback pushes up and drags the winger with them, like this, there's space. Your centre-back is looking for options. You just drift into this space, or your number 8 drifts in. But once again, we'll go through this in the next video. You drop off to this space. Now, the number 10 is a bit confused. Do I follow? Do I stay? Usually they'll stay in and around here. You can receive the ball in this space, and now you can look for these types of passes into your number 9. If your number 8's movement is good, if your fullback really pushes up now, you've got the space to even find your number 9. And if the 9 drags a centre-back with them, well, once again, look at this much space for your 8, for your winger to run into, for that pass in behind. So it allows you to play very vertical, very direct football if the movement and timing is spot on. So let's just have a look at that again. As you peel out to this space, you receive the ball here. Now the 10 will press you. Now, once again, the winger is playing inside, and now you have the 8 here. There's a 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a diamond here, and the winger is playing in between the lines. So once again, who's going to step? If the fullback presses the winger, you, with your technical ability as a centre defensive midfielder, you are able to play these types of passes in behind for your fullback to run onto. Or if the fullback stays, you can find your winger in between the lines who can take the ball in the half turn. If this centre back steps, what can happen? You can play the number 9 in behind. There's so many opportunities for chance creation with this picture. As soon as the winger drifts in and the fullback goes up and the winger is forced to follow the fullback, now there's an issue. Because yes, you're going to have pressure from the number 10, but you have opportunities to draw players out of position through short passes and then play that very dangerous pass in behind. Because in this scenario, you could play the winger with pressure from the fullback, you drop off, you receive the ball again, now you have extreme pressure. Once again, can we see the number 8 do the same movements that we've just discussed, which is drop off, receive the ball here, turn, switch, and now there's a 2v1 on the far side. So that movement where you receive the ball behind that line applies to a centre defensive midfielder, centre midfielder, and centre attacking midfielder. That starts from the CDM, the centre defensive midfielder, peeling out, the winger playing inside, creating problems, and then from there, it's about interpreting the game, reading the game, and decision making. That's why your game IQ has to be probably the highest in the whole team, because you are right at the heart of everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything good and everything bad. So as much as possible, can you make the correct actions 99.9% of the time and really help your team in build up? When you drop off to these spaces, also there'll be moments where if the opposition really retreat into a low block, you can look to transfer the play, and then as the ball goes far away from you because you've helped to transfer the play, now you're going back in. And then let's say your fullback drops in or your number 8 drops in. Now you're operating behind the striker. Very, very important. You're playing behind the striker because you know that if, let's say, the right back receives the ball and the left winger presses and the striker's around here, you could receive the ball in this space, in this one. What shape is this? 1, 2, 3, 4. In this pentagon, which is a 5-sided shape, and then you can look for those switches of play. Or you can look for a direct vertical pass into your number 9, who could set the number 8, and then the winger could be making a run in behind. So, once again, if this centre midfielder steps, your fullback could look to play the number 8 in between the lines. Your fullback could look to play the number 9 in between the lines in dangerous positions where the centre-backs don't really want to step because of these dangerous forward passes in behind. Just notice the chain effect that your positioning has on the rest of the team. Your positioning, your movement, what you do in certain moments of the game can really create a positive domino effect for your team. It just requires you to just think, and think like Busquets. Think like a very intelligent footballer that you can be, by the way, if you're not. Actually, everyone is an intelligent footballer. It just requires a bit of time, a bit of know-how, a bit of understanding of what to do, when to do it, to tap into that intelligence. Once again, receiving the ball behind that line to be able to, for example, find your winger in between the lines, who can then play the fullback in space, or your winger can then drive, and you've just allowed your team to push up the pitch. And now when your team have really pushed up the pitch and you're trying to break down a compact low block, your aim is to restrict and reduce transitions, stop defensive transitions, which means you have to coordinate and organise the counter press. So, as your team push up the pitch, let's say this is your fullback, that's your winger, that's your number 8, this is your striker, that's your number 8, that's your winger, this is your fullback, and your 2 centre backs have pushed up the pitch. You're not here. You are screening, you are in line with the ball, making sure that you have a compact shape. So if you do lose the ball, let's say in this scenario where your fullback has gone high, your winger's inside, you're making sure that if something happens, you're there to immediately swarm the ball and delay the attack. Sometimes you have to commit a smart foul, which means fouling them before they start a counter-attack in their half. Sometimes it happens, but as much as possible, can you delay, slow down the counter-attack, which buys time for your team to get back into position through vertical straight line sprints as they push up the pitch. But it's down to you to really make sure that you stop that counter-attack, that you delay as much as possible. You force them wide, you slow them down, because you have to remember attackers want to be running at speed, dribbling around you when they have speed, when they have momentum. So you have to do the opposite of that, which means can you really slow them down, really delay them, potentially win the ball here, and in these scenarios, drive with the ball, carry the ball. Think like an attacker, because instead of playing a pass here, where once again your players have pressure, drive, commit a player, then play that pass in behind. Now you have a final third entry. So when it comes to attacking, when your team are attacking, let's say on the right hand side, where your winger and your fullback have created a 2v1 and your team have pushed up the pitch, you're really focusing on being that security, that insurance policy, where if something does go wrong, you're there to immediately stop the attack, which is why you have to be diagonally in line with the ball. If the ball is here, you're not here, you're not there, you are diagonally in line with the ball. Because if something goes wrong, if we think what if, where's the most likely opportunity for the opposition to counterattack? It's literally here. So that's where you are to stop that counterattacking opportunity. Now, if they quickly switch the play, your left back should be here, because both fullbacks obviously should not be going high anyway. So that's down to your fullback, that's down to your defensive line if they switch the play. But you have to remember, if the winger decides not to track back as much, and let's say the 8 does the tracking back here, so now it's a 2v2, if the blue team win the ball back, this player is the dangerous player that can start the counter-attack. So they're most likely going to play a pass here, which is why you have to be, once again, diagonally in line with the ball. So then if something goes wrong, you're there to immediately stop the counter-attack. You're there to delay, deny, and then once you know that your team have made vertical sprints back into position, can you commit aggressively, win the ball back, and then drive, potentially play a pass into your fullback or winger, and then that's another opportunity for your team to score. So that starts from you being very smart with your positioning once the ball is ahead of you. When your team have the ball, you're not getting carried away by thinking, oh, maybe I can just relax. Yeah, we're doing well, we're keeping the ball. No, because also you have to remember, if your team cannot actually push up the pitch on this side of the pitch here, if you are in line with the ball, you're that option to receive the ball in front of the block, and then it's down to your incisive passing. Can you break them down? Can you find a line breaking pass, a reverse pass where you're looking this way as you receive the ball, and then you play with number 9 who can set the number 8, who can then play the other number 8 in behind in these tight spaces. So you must be ready to be very intricate and very intelligent when it comes down to breaking a low block. If you receive the ball here, maybe with pressure, can you drop the shoulder, turn, play your left side centre back who can drive, and then you're the one covering again. Once again, you're diagonally in line with the ball. You're not here, you're not there, you're not there. You're diagonally in line with the ball because hopefully your fullback would have dropped back. And now you have that 3-1 rest defence structure. If something goes wrong here and the fullback or winger does well in tracking back and defending, if they play a pass here, guess what? You're the player to stop the counter-attack. So you must be diagonally in line with the ball as that security, as that insurance policy. And also, when you drop into these spaces here and you've allowed that rotation to happen, if there's space to drive with the ball, why not? Drive, commit a player, push your team further up the pitch, be positive, be aggressive with the ball, because now you can play intricate passes, or you can play these curled passes in behind for your winger, for your striker, for your fullback to run onto. So by pushing your team up the pitch through driving, being brave, using your ability, driving with the ball forward, as you enter the middle half of the pitch, slowly entering into the final third, now can you make things happen? Also, when you drive with the ball, maybe you can turn, slow the game down, and then that allows you to find these intricate passes in between the lines. Or you just go backwards, no problem. Go backwards to your centre back, move across here, maybe you can receive the ball. If you watch Vitinha, if you watch his mobility, the way he's always trying to get on the ball and play simple passes, that's you right there. You're driving with the ball, maybe you play one pass, you receive the ball again, you drive, not really much is on, so you're like, okay, no problem, turn, play, drop off, receive again, drive. Maybe you exchange a pass with your centre midfielder, and then you look this way, like you're going to play to the centre back, and you find your winger through a line breaking reverse pass in between the lines, and that allows your fullback to push on. Once again, we spoke about that 2v1 situation. That's it right there. You've initiated that. You've started all of that through your mobility, your courage, your confidence to always get on the ball, make things happen. And guess what? If you do lose the ball, win it back within 5 seconds, no problem. And if you can't win it back in 5 seconds, that's life, right? Learn from it, get on with the game. Football doesn't stop for anybody. It's about the next action. So those are the key aspects of a centre defensive midfielder in possession, especially when, if you can drive with the ball, play, receive it, switch, or look for intricate passes in between the lines. Maybe you go backwards, you drop in, you get the ball again. If you're always moving and rotating and getting on the ball, you become unstoppable. Honestly, you become unstoppable. You gain the opponent's respect by doing that, because they eventually say, you know what, I cannot mark this player, so what I'm going to do is just drop off into a low block, and that gives you more time. Because that number 10, how often will they actually track you and be very disciplined? Not often. There'll be a moment where they say, you know what, I'm just going to sit off, allow you to receive the ball in space, and now you can really play your game. You can flourish. You can look for switches of play. You can look for short passes. You can drive. You can dictate. That's your game as a centre defensive midfielder. As I said, everything good goes through you and everything bad goes through you as well. There's two sides to the coin, right? So you have to make sure, as much as possible, positive actions, positive mindset, positive decision making. It all goes down to you and your game understanding and your interpretation of the game. And now looking at your defensive responsibilities as a centre defensive midfielder, which is extremely important, by the way. If the opposition left-sided centre-back has the ball and your striker's blocking off the switch, which they should be doing, that's the centre midfielder, that's your other centre midfielder, and this is you right here marking the number 10, the most advanced centre midfielder. Now, in these scenarios, as I mentioned before, with the rest defence organisation bit, in line with the ball. Just be in line with the ball because you're blocking off the pass into the striker. If this number 10 goes all the way here, that's not a problem. You do not have to follow because look how much space there is for the number 9 to drop in to receive the ball. Now there's problems for your centre-backs. Do they step? Do they stay? It just creates problems. Be in line with the ball and be ready to shuffle. And by the way, if your winger really tucks round and the striker presses well, that pass is not on. So that is not an issue at all. You have to be in line with the ball to take the striker out of the game through a vertical pass. So now the only way the centre-back can go to the striker is in the air. And hopefully the centre-backs can communicate, deal with that, and then start a counter-attacking opportunity. If they try to go long, can this centre-back or this centre-back win the aerial duel? It will drop to you here, so you have to be sharp to the second ball. If you see the opposition centre-back gets ready to play a long ball, what do? You're dropping, anticipating that the centre-back will head the ball into that space. It's bouncing. Are you alive? Are you alert to the second ball? Can you trap it, play an intricate pass, and then your team are out? Or can you look up, hopefully your winger, your striker, your number 8, or your number 10 are making runs in behind, and with 1 or 2 touches, you're playing a pass into that space. You're basically saying, okay, I've dealt with a long ball by placing the ball back in behind to turn the opposition and get them running back to their own goal. Very, very important. You don't have to trap the ball down. You don't have to try and keep the ball in these scenarios when you know that the opposition have pushed up the pitch. They've played the long ball, so they've pushed up the pitch, which means there is space in behind. You don't have to look. You just have to know that, okay, if I can win the second ball as it's dropping, I might have pressure here. So instead of me trying to really control it and play on the ground, when I know there's space in behind, I'm going to be effective. Deal with the second ball by maybe taking a touch, or if I can do it first time, back into that area. Very, very simple. If it's on this side of the pitch, it's here. If it's here, it's there. Very, very simple. Those are the key decision-making moments that define you and your ability as a centre defensive midfielder. You could be having a very good game and then one lapse of concentration here and they score, suddenly things change, right? So 99.9% concentration, focus. You know what? Let's make it 101%. Why not? 101% focus, concentration, understanding of what this position requires. And then let's say that they're playing a 4-2-4. Now you're spare. If you notice the scenario, you are spare. You have the 2 centre midfielders, you have the striker, this is you. Perfect. If you're spare, that's perfect. You know that your 2 centre backs will pass one of the strikers on if they drop in. So once again, you are in line with the ball. If this striker drops in, you're there. If this striker drops in and you feel like that pass is going to happen, you're there to aggressively step and win the ball. Once you go in, you have to be aggressive. You can't slow down and hesitate. So for example, if this player drops into this space, you're there. Go on, try and turn. If this player is good enough to turn and score by scoring in the top corner, fair enough. Individual ability is individual ability. But as much as possible, if you're sharp, if you're alive, if you're alert, if you're secure and solid in the way you defend 1v1 duels, then as this attacking midfielder steps or when there's a rotation, everyone's communicating, you're sharp, you're in line with the ball, you're winning the ball, and then you can create a counter-attacking opportunity. Let's say the ball goes out to the winger here, and your fullback is aggressively pressing the winger as they should be doing. Your centre-back, and your fullback are very compact here. If there's a forward runner from midfield, if there's a late runner from midfield, can you really focus on dealing with that danger? Because you know that your opposite centre midfielder, your winger, would be tucking in. So then, if let's say there's a runner here, can you follow? And then if the pass goes here, you're there. That's how mobile and athletic you have to be as well. You have to be willing to go into strange positions to track your runner, deal with the danger. Because if you don't, and you let the centre-back do it, Just look at this amount of space. If this player is good enough to drag the centre-back away, there's a huge space between centre-back and centre-back. You just don't want that. Get your centre-backs close together, keep them close together, and you deal with that forward runner. So if this winger is able to play a pass in behind to this space, you're there, you're stopping the cross, you're delaying as much as possible, you're not trying to foul them at all in a dangerous area. Can you delay? Can you win the ball? As we said, they would have pushed up the pitch. There is space in behind. Can you just look up and play it into that space to start attacking opportunity, a counter-attacking opportunity for your team? So those are the key details that you must be switched onto, especially when the ball is out wide. You are there to track any runners that are from deep, because those are the most dangerous runs. The most dangerous runs are the ones where the ball is here and then suddenly this player makes a run into this space, or the number 9 curves their run and then makes a run in. So if at times your centre-back gets caught out, you must tuck in to cover your centre-back to keep that shape. You do not want to be here because there's a big gap. If you see that your centre-back has had to make a decision in that moment and follow, you're the one to drop in to really keep that shape compact and organised and disciplined and structured. So then if they try to cross the ball into the box or cross the ball into this area and your other centre-back deals with it, you're there. Or you deal with the danger. You have to be strong in your aerial duels as well. So all of that makes you an elite, an absolutely immense centre defensive midfielder. In possession, out of possession, in moments of transition. There's a lot that was covered in this video, and I strongly recommend that you watch this not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, not 5 times, but as much as you can, because that right there is the key to becoming elite as a centre defensive midfielder.